Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. This is True Crime in the Morning. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. My friends call me Sleuth. Recently, we have been covering the Lindsay Buziak case. So if you guys haven't watched part one, please do so. But today we are joined by her father, who has been putting up a valiant fight for justice in her case. Today we will sit down and talk with him and do our best to assist him in bringing awareness to the case, and hopefully we can watch something break here loose. Right now I'm going to go ahead and bring Jeff. Hello, Jeff. Welcome to True Crime in the Morning. How are you today, sir?
Sleuth, and I hope I can call you Sleuth. That would be.
You sure can.
Thank you very much. Yeah, very appreciative that you have me on the show. You know, I've been pursuing justice here for years, and it just boggles my mind that why do I have to pursue justice? Murder is the most heinous crime known to mankind from the beginning of time, and it is still the most punishable crime out there. It should be stopped immediately, not 16 years, not 25, not 35, not 40. There should be ultimate effort put murderers to behind bars, and as far as I'm concerned, to death. They have no useful purpose in society. Instead of sending money overseas by the billions and billions of dollars and leaving police forces underfunded, we need to take care of the murder of our citizens. Politicians need to have that as a priority, not a secondary, or not, oh, well, they're dead, who cares? Well, yeah, we care. We care because the more you let go, the more it's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. So sorry for the big, long spiel, but thank you for having me on your show.
I appreciate it. Our hearts go out to you. We're at your service. I told you that prior to going live. You know, we have a lot of people who like to dig and they like to help the best way that they know how. So we're at your service. And I understand you can only do so many of these walks here. And I mean, we applaud your effort, and you're doing something, you're not sitting still. But when it comes to officially naming a suspect and officially getting justice, you have to go through law enforcement. That's got to be frustrating when they're not doing anything.
You know, I get many calls from people who say, oh, I know what's going on, but I won't talk to police. You know, I go, okay, fine. Well, tell me what you know. But look, I don't make the arrests. I don't make the arrests. I've even been criticized by people. Well, you just take the information and go to the police. They have to arrest. You know, I made an agreement with myself years and years and years ago when this first got going, that I decided I have to do this the right way. I can't, you know, go take street justice. I mean, I can, and it's certainly a temptation a lot of the time because of frustration. But
just being
you
a father, I'm sure you're going into some dark places.
Absolutely, very dark for years and years and years, darker than you can ever imagine. And you know, the interesting fact is, you know, again, I think I mentioned to you, I have a degree in psychology from UVic, and I really study people, and I'm really fascinated by people's behaviors and stuff. So 100% of the people I ask off the cuff, I mean, not if I'm having a conversation with them about murder and my situation, but if I'm just talking to somebody and I go, hey, what would you do if somebody killed one of your children? I get one of two answers, 100%, no matter what walk of life these people are from, what gender they are, doesn't matter, 100%. One of two answers. I'd kill them is one answer. The second answer, I'd fucking kill them. Those are the two answers I get, 100%. And they're immediate. People don't sit there and think about it. They blurt it out instantly. Well, that was exactly my feeling when this happened. Like, who the fuck did
It's
this?
not
I'm
that
going to
easy,
kill
is it?
them. It is and it isn't. It's a place where you're sitting on top of a precipice. Which way am I going to lean? Which way am I going to lean? You make that decision. It's real. It's
You
not
start doing your
talk.
own planning.
Right. It's real. Like, am I going down that road or am I going that way? Am I going to lean that way or am I going to lean that way? You make the decision. You have to. You can't be on the fence. You're just too distraught. You're so upset. You're very dark. So murder doesn't mean much to you. You know, it's just like, I'll kill them. But, you know, you have to think about things. You talk to people. I talk to people about it. You know, I'm going to fucking kill them. And it's like, whoa, 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 Jeff, hey, come here, let's sit down. You know, friends are great for you. They're like, you know, think about your other children, think about this, that, you know, where do you want to go with this? I mean, you're going to be sitting in jail, you know, da, 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 da. You're doing the same thing they did. You're just perpetuating the same deal.
Is this daily for you? That fight, that
Um,
struggle?
it's weekly. Daily, I try and keep a up attitude, a positive attitude. I try and make it my mandate. I still work, by the way, so you know I have responsibilities and sometimes very busy. But I try and make a point of saying I do something about murder every day, and typically I'm quite uh, not bombarded, but I get a lot of activity about Lindsay's murder. And as the years have gone on, it's both positive and negative. You know, I get people that come to me that are armchair, you know, detectives, and they keep saying, well, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
tired of that because I've done so much. So I almost tell everyone now that says, oh, you need to do this, you need to go look at that. I just say,
I have.
I have, or you're in charge of that. I'm assigning you to that role. What I really appreciate here is people who want to do something, not tell me what to do, right? I've tried everything I possibly can think of in these 16 years. Everything. You know, I've used, you know, different methods and stuff. You know, I learned from the police even. I remember years back, I was always under this impression that, you know, police are this authority and they're like the greatest and they're our heroes and, you know, all this stuff. No, they're just fucking people, you know? And there's some that are really good. There's some that are really bad. There's some that are truthful. There's some that are just pompous, bullshitting fucking assholes. You know, there's a whole group of them in the police, just like there
Hmm.
is in the real world. And so at first I was thinking, shit, they're BSing me about stuff. So I went on this mandate to catch them in lies, and finally, you know, I did. And I remember this one officer, senior officer, I was sort of like, you know, I got you, you lied about that. And I remember him just looking at me and smiling and shaking his head. And he went, Jeff. And I go, what? He goes, do you think we catch bad guys every day by telling the truth? Give your fucking head a shake. It was a real aha moment for me because I'm thinking, you know, the police are the law. They're right. They're truthful. They're all this stuff. And I wasn't angry about that. It was just an aha moment. I went, fuck, of course. Like, how dumb could I be? They have to put out false information. They have to do all kinds of techniques to try and trick the bad guys.
Hail
Why
Marys
can't,
too.
you know, why can't I?
Yeah, you can and you should. And I think you did.
Right. I
Didn't
have.
you? You put out a statement, right, directed at anybody who might have information or be involved. That not only would you get them a large reward, but you would help um, protect them, send them overseas, help set them up where they could be protected. Is that still on the table?
Well, that doesn't come from me directly. Police will do that. If they have the right witness, like even, you know, one of the couple that were involved in the murder, whatever it is, they go to police. There's deal to be made. That's
Oh, you're letting
guaranteed.
them know that is an option for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like that's there. They want protection. They want whatever they want. There's a deal to be made depending on their information. You know, I put that out there. And of course, I'm getting guys from, you know, Indianapolis and Missouri and stuff. Yeah, yeah, man. Like, forward me 10 grand. I know what's going on. And then I'll talk to you. You know, you get all that shit that I have to deal with on a daily basis.
So it was February 2nd, 2008. Lindsay was only 24 years old. I mean, she's basically getting in her prime, really, if you think about it. Um, that was
Well,
15 years ago today, right? Or 15 years ago.
yeah, it's coming up 16 in February. So, it's
Yeah,
just
16.
it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I always look at it like, the conspirators and murderers of my daughter have been walking free for 16 years. The friends and family of Lindsay have been in prison, a hell prison, a psychological hell prison, because of the authorities. We're in prison for 16 years. We're being psychologically tortured by the killers, the police. They won't tell you anything. They play games with you. There's a whole scenario I've been through with them. Everything from, they want you, first of all, they just basically tell you, shut up, go home, let us do our job. We don't need you poking around here. And
Yeah,
then
you're
if you're
just a
not,
grieving father. What do you know?
right, and I'm not that guy, right? I'm not that guy to go home, sit down, shut up. I'm not the guy. So then it's like, oh, he's crazy. And then if you overcome that part, that they try and make you out to be crazy, then they will try and make you crazy. Like they'll employ methods of, ghosting and all that stuff to try and make you crazy. And if that doesn't work, then it's threats. And I've had that right from the police. Came to me, stop what you're doing, shut down that website, or we're going to publicly discredit you, and right to my face,
They've
I
tried.
will destroy you. And then they
I've
start on
seen
that.
them. I've seen them try to discredit you on some interviews.
Absolutely. All they're doing is protecting their own folly because they haven't done their job. That's all it is. And if they're held accountable, how dare you? Their egos are just like right out of control. They now think they're some kind of godlike statue. And I tell them, I go, no, you're just a fucking department of a government. You're no different than the people who cut the lawns in the parks, that collect the fucking garbage, that deal with the sewers and the underground. You're one of those fucking departments. Do your job. If you don't do your job, you should be fucking fired. And most of those other departments, can you imagine if the guys taking care of the parks said, oh, this is complicated and the mower
Or the
broke down,
trash.
and or the
They only take
trash.
they only take half of it, or
Right, or
barely
they
any of it.
don't, or the sewers, nothing gets
Yeah.
done. It would be a nightmare. Here's what happens with police. They're one of those departments. They get promoted, they get a pay raise, and they get a big fat retirement pension for not doing their fucking job. We've had, I think, 5 or 6 heads of this file. We've had 4 or 5 mayors. I think we've had 5 or 6 new police chiefs. How many head detectives in Lindsay's case? As far as I'm concerned, they all fucking failed. They should be fired, not promoted and given a pay raise. Fuck off. Do your job or get the hell out of there. And if you don't like it, it's like, oh, it's stressful and oh, like that. Go fucking do something else. Don't cry to me. You think
So
it's
what do
not
they have?
stressful?
What
What
do
do
they?
they
I
have?
know. Well, I know
Who knows?
Canadian law states here that you have access to these investigative files, don't you?
If it's an active case, you have no access. So a media outlet has taken them to court about it, spent lots of money. I really, really appreciate that. And a judge finally sealed the file. No access after various court attempts to get information
So
because
it'd be
it's
like
an
a catch
active
22 then
file.
to label it a cold case. That means that they're not actively investigating it, but that would give you access to those files. Is that something you want to fight for that to be labeled a cold case?
Well, I have a story on that already. We've been there, done that, Sleuth.
Okay.
Year 2, they called me in and said, besides telling me there was a hit on me, it was, Jeff, we've done our investigation. We got nothing. It's a cold case now. So I was like, okay. Like, I'm not a dummy who sits there and starts crying. I was like, okay. If it's cold case, then give me access to the file. Because if it's cold, I have access to the file. They go, no, you don't. I go, yeah, I do. I've already consulted with the lawyer. Sure, I can't see the whole file, but I have access to a bunch of information. You know, the coroner's report, all these different things. Hand it over. Oh, we're not doing that. I go, yeah, you are. It's cold. Let's go. Get the stuff out right now. I'm here. I was at the police station. Go get it. Let's go. He's like, oh, look, it's lunchtime. You know, we got to have lunch. Why don't you go grab a lunch and come back after lunch and, you know, we'll sort this out. Okay. So I go for lunch. They phoned me while I'm at lunch. And they said, yeah, Jeff, we had a meeting about this. And so we've decided it's active. So don't bother coming back. So there's no determination of cold or active. It's up to the police. So for 13, 14 years now, it's been active, even though I hear it's like, oh, that officer was reassigned. Oh, they're not working on it right now until something comes up. Then they'll be reactivated. They will not say it's cold because then we have access. And
What is
nobody
it that
can,
they don't want you to have access to? Is it that they just don't have anything? Because they like to use words like complex and tentacles,
right.
and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you don't understand how deep this goes. You know, they want us to
Right.
think that there's some kind of huge investigation going on, and if they release any information, they're going to spoil it all.
Right.
But what if they just have nothing? I mean, I don't see any DNA in your daughter's case. I don't see any official suspects, and then the witness is really the boyfriend of Lindsay.
And
So,
his friend who was with
and his
him.
friend. Okay. And do you find that at all, any of that suspicious? What's going on with that group there? I mean, it says they passed a polygraph, which I don't think would be hard to do. I
And you
think
know,
I could.
that's a,
I think I could pass a polygraph if you asked me to lie. I think I could do it.
you know, I've tried for years and years and years to dispel that myth that they passed a polygraph, because the police in their brilliance at one point said, oh, we've cleared them. So I was stunned. Like, I was stunned when I heard that in the media. So I immediately phoned the head of the file or detective division at that time. And I go, what the hell are you doing? Well, you know, we do certain things for, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I want the official word here. And I want you to clear me publicly too. And you're going to get a bunch of other phone calls about people who want to get cleared. And so it was like, well, we're not in the clearing business. I go, well, obviously you fucking are. You just cleared somebody. So clear me. Like, get back on your horn and clear me and clear whoever else wants to be cleared. Oh, we don't do that. So I said, okay, give me the official word. Okay, phone me back. I'll get it for you. Okay. So I phoned the guy back. This is the head of the detective division. Phone him back. He goes, the Zalo family has participated in polygraph interviews to our satisfaction at this time. I said, well, that's not cleared. He goes, that's the official word. I go, where the fuck did clear come from? I guess the officer decided to say that. That's our official word. I said, well, that can mean that they didn't pass. He goes, Jeff, that's the official word. They participated to our satisfaction at this time. I said, well, that could have meant they failed, but you're happy they did. He goes, Jeff, I'm not going to discuss it. Have a nice day. That's the official word. So
Do
there's
you
no
think they're
fucking
withholding
passing.
information then? Do you think they're just not telling you, but they might have something? Is that possible? I
Oh,
know they
they've
like to
got
play that
tons.
game.
Yeah, they've got tons. So here's their deal. And I mean, I can respect it, but I can't respect they take 16 years. So their deal is if they release critical information, one, you know, the bad guys, lawyers or whoever, now can prepare with all that stuff. And also with Canadian law, I guess, you know, with this Privacy Act and all this different shit that's out there, they're breaking the law by releasing information. And in our country, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So if they start releasing information about, hey, Sleuth is the one we're after, well, that means, you know, they're saying you're guilty. So then it's going to be a thrown out case because they screwed up. So I get
Have they
that
sat down
part.
with you though and said, "Hey, like we are, you know, there are some people that we're looking at. We can't talk to you about that. You know, one day I hope that we can." Did that
Yeah,
ever?
yeah. They'll say those words. They'll say, you know, we have different theories we're working on and we feel very positive. And I get I get a report once a month. I talk to the overseer of the case, and he's very positive about it. He says, there's many cases out there where they have to tell families, we have nothing, sorry, we're not going anywhere with this. And he just says that, he's very positive about it, and just feels it's one of the highest cases that he feels can be solved. But they've been saying that for years. So for me, words don't mean anything anymore, because I've heard that, there's other officers out there. This case is very solvable. Well, then solve the fucking thing.
Well, they seem to think their top theory seems to be the whole drug angle, and I know you touched on that. Is that something that you subscribe to?
No, I don't, and I really think that's a distraction. I'll try and wrap that up as fast as I can. There was about 14 people charged in that drug deal. Lindsay might have knew one of them from when she was an early teen. Erickson was dating some girl that Lindsay worked with in a mall. So she got to meet them. It's just like, stop already. So anyhow, out of these 14 people that got busted, they were all offered deals that if they knew anything about Lindsay's murder, they would be let off with nothing, like no criminal record, nothing, no trial, zero, zip. So out of 14, they got nothing. Nothing. And I think one of them was a mom with a young child. And, my psychology education tells me out of 14 people, somebody's going to talk. You're probably going to get 2 or 3 out of 14, as a matter of fact. And over the years, you're probably going to get more. So I don't subscribe to that. I actually met with the people involved in that drug deal. Met with like higher up in the background on that drug deal. And,
like the
of course,
connection, the actual connection.
Yeah, somebody
who would be motivated, maybe, if it
more
was
or less steering the ship, so to say.
Okay.
So, that drug bust was a minor part of what their whole operation was all about. And they knew they were being watched. They knew how they got busted. But the police... Here's the police's theory, I feel. Let's blame it on these drug guys. That's an easy way out. And let's say
also it's a reason for them to keep information withheld. They can say, hey, we're keeping this secret because it's part of a bigger investigation, so we can't tell you right now.
Right. Plus, it's a distraction for people. Let's get everybody focused looking that direction. And really, we're working in this direction. Very simple little trick. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Also, if they're covering up, which I suspect there is a certain degree of cover up involved in Lindsay's murder, let's blame the cartel. Like, how the hell will you ever catch the cartel? Oh, the cartel did it. Sorry. Can't do anything about it. We're done. It's cartel. So everybody's like, oh, shit, it was the cartel. It's just so bizarre. But if you look at it,
they would have just, if it was the cartel, they don't need to be so elaborate. They don't need to spend 3 months planning a murder. They come into town, they'll probably do it right in the middle of the street or in your home and then leave.
Right. And make sure everybody knows it was them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, to me, it's just all bullshit. It's a distraction.
There is a lot of fantasy driven is what I'm seeing here, in the fact that there's potentially 2. Do you believe that there are 2 people that were in that home that committed this crime together?
Well,
do you trust the witnesses?
I trust the witnesses that there were 2 people Lindsay greeted. But, over the years, I've tried to keep a really open mind to all theories. And so over the years, you've got to drill in more and more and more and more and more to possible scenarios and different information. So, one we discussed at one point, was there someone else in the house waiting? So was the couple just a decoy to get her to go into the house? Was there someone in there waiting to do the dirty deed, which the witnesses, of course, wouldn't have seen? So, was somebody else close by involved? At one point, we delved really hard into one of the neighbors. Was the neighbor involved? Did the neighbor drive the getaway car? There was a whole bunch of circumstances around that. Where
Well, they
did they
picked the
go?
home for a reason. They
Yeah,
they,
they
they picked
picked
the
them.
location for a reason.
Well, and that's backed up by my discussions with Lindsay. She phones me and is just like, hey, Daddy, I can't find anything else to show them. There's just this one house. I'm like, well, how'd you find out that one house? Oh, talking to Shirley, her boss, her boyfriend's mom. She goes, that's all I can find. There's nothing else. And I'm like, well, you better find something else to show them. You can't, people that are in town for the weekend to buy a house, you can't just show them one house and say, hey, that's all I got. See you later. I'm going partying. It's like show them something else. If you show them other homes as close as you can get to what their request is, then the one that you think fits the best is going to be highlighted. It'll look the best, right? If you show them, let's say there's 4 in the price range that they want, that more or less have some of the features that they're after, well, show them those 4 and they're going to pick the one that best suits them. Buying a house is a compromise. It's not like, hey, I've got this big long list of what I want in a home and you get to tick off every box. I've been in real estate for 42 years. I understand how it works. There's a lot of boxes that don't get ticked. You make a compromise. You miss some of the boxes because you like it. Oh, well, maybe it doesn't have this, but look at the view. Or, so it was set up with that house in mind. There's no doubt about that in my mind.
Knowing that would be selected.
That she was going to go there first.
Okay, so with the fantasy, if you look at all the details on how this was planned, it almost plays out like a true crime novel.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Somebody that does might be doing that kind of reading, and that's how they plan this out, almost in a fantasy way. Some elaborate, drawn out plan.
It's interesting because for years, part of my due diligence is I read a whole bunch of crime novels because I thought the same thing. I thought, okay, they're copying something.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to, try and find out where it was. If I can find out what they read that they've copied, then we can really narrow it down. I just couldn't find that book that was exact copy. So then I got into movies. I thought, okay, I got to watch a whole bunch of murder movies, try and figure out, what did they copy this from? And I've probably got 200 or 300 movies that I bought. Well, maybe not 200 or 300, but let's say 150 or something on shelves here that, I was just like watching movies thinking, okay, is this one, this one, this one? And nothing really. It's easy to see it as a homegrown thing, real estate. Somebody very close to Lindsay knew her characteristics, knew what she was up to at that time. And
I think you're right.
She expressed to me many things that make me swing in one direction, even though, I try and keep a very open mind to any theory. And believe me, I've dealt with hundreds of theories over the 16 years. And I'm always willing to hear somebody's theory until it doesn't make sense anymore. And, probably a lot of people will choose to think, oh, it's just random killers. There was this couple who killed a realtor in the US and they were killing other people. It's like, yeah, no. I mean, if
I
it's
looked at
going
that
to
angle
be
like a thrill kill, serial kill,
mm-hmm.
something real drawn out, fantasy driven. I mean, that could be, but why her? Why there? Why real estate? And how did they have so much information on what
right.
was important to her at that specific moment? And they used it to appeal to her.
Yeah, exactly. Plus they knew like names of previous buyer and what she was up to socially and stuff. Like it was just
They're
way
projecting.
too close.
They're projecting with this plan of who they are, really.
Yeah, that's right. So, it definitely, like, I believe it was a hired, sort of a hired hit. I believe it was somebody got other people involved besides just themselves. Like, it wasn't one person who decided, hey, I'm going to kill Lindsay. There's more involved. And I've always said sort of 3 to 5.
Who was your person
And
of interest? I mean, I don't mind if you say it here. We can discuss this.
well, I certainly think that the Lindsay's partner at the time and his family know more than what they're talking about. He certainly knows more. I mean, when you're living with somebody and intimate with a partner, you know what's going on in their life. Maybe they've got, obviously could have some secrets from you, but you know what's going on. You know who's calling and what's happening if it's a major thing in their life. When my daughter comes to me in terror and says, Daddy, I saw something I shouldn't have seen. Like, that's fucking serious stuff.
That doesn't
And
lead you to the drug stuff?
no, because the drug stuff, I can explain that easy after I thought about it for quite some time. The drug stuff isn't foreign to real pretty girls. Because when they're young, they're pursued by all kinds of different guys. And I think I told you the scenario that, the odd time Lindsay and her girlfriends would drag me out in protest. And, they're all 10s, and you go out and the guys are just crowded around them like predators, wanting to get at them because you got these, 6 10s standing there sitting at a table. And so, they, throughout the years, Lindsay had told me about, we went to this party and, there was like drugs everywhere and money and, these goofballs, these young guys, they got this fancy home and it's just a fucking disaster. So we have to get the hell out of there. They see that shit. Or she comes to me and says, Dad, so-and-so is dating this guy. I think he's a drug dealer. And I go, why? What's going on? Oh, well, in the closet, there was like the paper grocery bags full of money. And, supposedly I was like, what the hell? Let's get out of here. No, it's okay. He's just a delivery guy. He doesn't deal drugs. He just like delivers money. So, these drug guys have everything broke down into little wee sections, right? So nobody gets caught. The end result doesn't get caught. There's all these levels. And so, growing up, she saw a lot of that shit and would tell me about it, and she got to hate drug dealers because some of her girlfriends ended up dating them, getting hooked on cocaine and turning it just a mess, right? Like a mess. So she did not like drug dealers, didn't like anything to do with the drug world. And as a matter of fact, she despised them. And told me that, I fucking hate them. So it wasn't like she was in bed with some drug dealers, but here's what happens. Victoria is a small town. People have to wrap their head around. It's 1 degree of separation there. It's not 7. It's 1. It's 1. And it's really hard for people to understand that. So Lindsay grew up there, born and raised Victoria. So in preschool, you meet all these little kids. Grade 1, same kids. Grade 4, whole bunch of kids. So now you're in grade 12, same kids. Well, now some of these guys you met in preschool or grade 4, now they're dealing coke or something, right? So you're like, fuck, whatever, right? They're your high school, in your class. So then you leave high school and you decide, that's not my life. I never was into that. I want to get a career happening. So Lindsay was searching around, trying to figure out what direction she wanted to go in her life, settled on real estate, which was really great because there was no pressure from me. As a matter of fact, I even had a couple stern talks with her about it. But she chose that. She found it on her own. So now you have these guys you grew up with, that well because you went through school with them. They're like, oh, hey, man, Lindsay's a fucking realtor now. Oh, I got a hockey bag full of cash. I want to buy a fucking house. I'll phone Linz. So, she has contact with some of these guys. Like, oh, hey, man, I want to buy a house. Like, let's get together. I'll buy you lunch, tell you what's going on in my life, and da-da-da-da-da. She'd phone me and say, Dad, this fucking idiot called me, and I know he's a drug dealer. what do I do about it? And I said, well, you have a choice, like yes or no. Tell them, no, I'm sorry, I can't. Find another realtor. Or, you don't know. Maybe he inherited $1 million because his mom died and had a life insurance policy. You don't know what's going on. So if you want to be a professional about it, meet with them, qualify them. That's what you're supposed to do. Meet your client, qualify them, then move forward. So if it's like, hey, I got a hockey bag full of cash, can you sneak this through? Tell them to fuck off. But if it's, my dad died, I inherited a bunch of money, I want to buy a house. Okay, what's wrong with that? Sell them a
That
house.
happens.
They'll write a check for a deposit. You put it in the account. You're not doing anything wrong. I mean, if they get caught as a drug dealer, well, that's a separate issue. But if they inherited a bunch of money and they want to buy a house, sell them a house. That's your job.
So law enforcement was saying that, I guess, around the time of this drug bust and Lindsay having contact with this Erickson character and these thug types, I guess they were the huge bust happened, and they were going around yanking people out of bed, according to investigators, asking if they were snitching, if they knew anything about it, if they were talking about it. Did you hear anything about that?
No. What I heard from talking to one of the head guys was we knew exactly why we got busted. Idiots went downtown out to the clubs being big dicks, getting pissed, trying to put on a show, being idiots. They leave the club. The police stop them, open up the trunk. There's like fucking 30 keys of cocaine, money, guns. Duh. 2 days later, go to the house where these idiots hang out at. Gee, what do we find? And, another 30, 40 keys of cocaine, guns, money. Simple shit. There's no snitch required. It was like idiots went out and triggered the whole fucking thing.
Okay,
And
so
that's what
a whole lot
happened.
to that.
If you follow the scenario and you really look into the local news, that's what went on. They got stopped, money, drugs, guns in the back of the car. Well, duh. What, are they just going to give them a ticket for speeding and let them go? It's like, oh, maybe we should escalate. So, of course, you get street guys, street police, and then you get detectives come in, and it turns out there was a big investigation that had been going on for quite some while on these guys. And they were aware of it. They're just stupid. They're dumb fucking idiot drug dealers. Like, come on. These guys don't have PhDs in drug dealing.
Here's another side note. Something about that there was a real snitch that was actually at her office. Is that true? I mean, I'm just kind of reading some of my side notes here that there was a snitch and she was actually working at the same office as Lindsay.
Yeah, so over the years...
give me one second. I'm having some audio issues.
Sure.
Hold that thought. You may have to reconnect back. One. Okay. So we're just going to wait for Jeff to reconnect. And let me shoot him a quick email just so he knows. All right. Looks like we got him back.
Okay, I'm back.
All right. Sorry about that. Sometimes
No
audio kind of goes haywire, and the best thing to do is to reset it quickly. Sorry about that. So we were smack dab in basically saying you're not going in the direction of basically law enforcement seems to be leaning on this drug theory that she may have stumbled across something, seen something that she wasn't supposed to. And that kind of lines up with some of the things that you stated that she may have had a secret she wanted to tell you. But you're saying that that's all some kind of embellishment and you're focusing more on possibly this Jason Zalo character.
I certainly believe that he knows more than what's going on here. This is a guy that arrives at the house, bolts in the front door, goes right upstairs to where Lindsay's dead in the master bedroom. I mean, there's just so much suspicion around that. But, I do like to keep an open mind on all this.
Yeah.
Just so much circumstantial evidence that just makes me wonder. And this is a guy that has no communication with me, has never helped me in any way whatsoever, that just stays in the background. And now his, in my opinion, evil, wicked mother is suing me for slander and libel, which I've never done. It's just bizarre. They don't help. They do everything to thwart and hinder. It just makes my blood boil, especially now this lawsuit going on, that the system would even allow that kind of insanity and stupidity.
What is she trying to get you for? Like a defamation or something?
Yeah, which I didn't do. So she co-named me with somebody else who she claims did. It's just like legal trickery. Some, lawyer in Victoria who, in my opinion, is sleaze and is just using legal trickery. A very experienced lawyer using all these little dirty little tricks in the law to get me included in a lawsuit. Just makes me sick. They all, I could just puke on them all.
And that's her right there on your website?
Yeah, correct. That person, in my opinion, based on experience in this world and based on a university education in psychology, in my opinion, that person is the most nasty, evil woman I have ever experienced, met, dealt with in my entire life.
Well, based on some of the information we discussed, the fantasy driven, you think this might be something motivated by from a position from a female perspective? Is that true?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the overall scenario of Lindsay's murder, how it was set up, it's like a kind of like a, sort of like a romance novel thing.
Yeah,
it's
it
like
is.
This big dramatic thing. Guys don't do that. Like, I know guys. I grew up, all kinds of different characters in my life. Guys are like cavemen for the most part. It's like, ooh, what do I got to do here? And they get out and do it. Not, oh, I got to do this and make sure the curtain's right, and da 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 da. That's how Lindsay's murder was set up. It was very, very detailed.
And then you had a partnership, right? You had a man and a female that were present.
Right. And what was interesting there was, I think the female got cold feet prior to the murder, because Lindsay was communicating with the female, and then the male called her and said, hey, look, my wife might not be able to make the showing. She's not feeling well, so, I'll just be there on my own. You okay with that? Like, that was really odd for me because, my experience in real estate tells me that, and I still do it to this day, 42 years later, 43, whatever it's been now, I guess 43, sorry. People show up or they don't. They don't phone you to tell you these details. If you're showing a place and you're expecting, let's say, a couple to show up, and maybe only the one partner shows up, they just tell you, they're like, hey, sorry, I came on my own because my partner is sick or whatever. They don't phone you in advance and give you this advance warning. It was just way too set up in detail. And that tells me that, all this detail and the way it was with
fantasy driven.
Yeah, fantasy driven, client's name, all that stuff. That tells me female involved in the organization here, not a guy. Guys are way too primitive for that kind
What
of
about
stuff.
the motivation? Why would they be motivation? And this is the mother of the person who was dating your daughter at the time. They're living together. Are they talking about marriage? Is she wanting to separate? And is he the obsessive type? Is he, does he love her to death? He's not gonna live without her type. Is that who he is?
Absolutely. You nailed it right on the head. But let's look at an overall scenario, like more general than specifically narrowing in on these people.
Okay.
And I hate to deal with this, pretty girl all the time because, she was a woman. Really, the basis of this murder was young woman at work murdered. That's what it's about. I wish people would stop with like, oh, the drug deal and all that shit. It is young woman at work murdered. Period. Doesn't matter if she was a prostitute or a lawyer or what the hell it was. Doesn't fucking matter. Young woman, work, murdered. Shouldn't happen. Doesn't matter who she is, who she knew, who she talked to. Doesn't fucking matter. So let's look at the scenario, though, in real terms. She was a very, very attractive young woman. So if you look at it statistically, let's say North America, you can look at the world because the world knows about Lindsay's murder. What is the percentage of young women wanting to leave their boyfriends that get murdered? Very fucking high, especially pretty young women.
Crime of passion.
Crime of passion. Very high percentage. So, let's not complicate this with all kinds of different shit. Let's keep this simple, which I've always tried to do. I try and simplify everything. I had a brilliant psychology professor by the name of Alec Babelis in university. Brilliant guy, Harvard, MIT, ended up semi-retired in Victoria, mainly because CIA, IRS in the States were hounding him and chasing him down because he started speaking out against war crimes that the US commit when they do their covert activities. He had been involved in that in a psychological way, helping them out. And he just said, this isn't right. So he escaped to Victoria and was a professor there. Brilliant man. Anyhow, his teachings, which have stuck to me to this day, keep it simple. Break it down to its simplest form. Do not complicate things. Occam's razor.
I guess the part I struggle with is the multiple people. Usually, if you're motivated to kill out of passion, you may hire a hitman.
Right. Right.
But I don't see marriage. I don't see any children. So it's hard for me to drag the mother into this. Why is she motivated? Because I agree with you. This does seem like some kind of a female perspective. But that's the part that's hard for me, is that a mother son would engage in this kind of activity. And if so, not that hasn't happened, because it does happen quite often, but for specific reasons. They're not going to risk life in prison. Well, at least she's not. Him, I can see, passion, that'll do things to you. You're not thinking clearly. It's almost a low point of depression. No, if I can't have you, nobody will, type of thing. You're kind of lost in that.
Absolutely.
But her, I don't see the motivation there.
Okay,
I could be missing something.
Yeah, it has to be simplified. Lindsay specifically comes to me in Calgary to talk to me about the conundrum she's in with this, with a guy that she doesn't want to be with anymore. Unfortunately, she's working for his mom. The mom's financing their lifestyle. How do I get out of this, Dad? That was basically the visit. How do I fucking get out of this mess? And then so
they felt that they owned her then.
Absolutely. Okay. Go to my Facebook page, scroll down about the I did a reenactment video with an actress about the first time I met that woman. It's very interesting. It's people find it unbelievable to see it. Anyhow, so Lindsay comes to visit me to talk about this because, she's very close with her mom. Mom's great, Mom. But Lindsay's like, I can't talk to Mom about this. She loves the big goof. Daddy, what do I do? So we spend these days, like her days weren't busy talking to drug dealers or something. These guys, Lindsay's very popular. So they're like, hey, I'm in Calgary. Fuck, if you ever come to Calgary, Lindsay, give me a call. Like, that's how simple that is. Let's not complicate this about, oh, some drug deal and she was a snitch. It's like she was a popular girl. The reason she was so popular was she was a maestro socially. Like if you said to her, hey, I live in Portland now. If you're ever in Portland, give me a call. She would fucking call you if she was in Portland.
Yeah, I saw her in an interview and she owned it.
Right.
Yeah,
She
she
was
was made for that camera.
just a great person, and
Yeah, she was glowing.
friendship was super important to her. So she comes to me to talk about this very serious thing in her life, like one of the most serious things in her life. What do I do about this partner thing? I got my career sorted out. I'm in a scenario here that I don't like, and how do I get out of it? And we spent days discussing that. She went
Let
out
me ask you this
once.
real quick before I lose this thought. If, let's say, she got this huge sale and it wasn't part of some setup and it was a legit interest, somebody was very interested, um, could a could a deal like that put her in a position where she could kind of go out on her own moving forward now?
Well, not only that deal, she had numerous deals closing on March the 1st. And that was part of our discussion. She said, Dad, I can't leave right now because I got some deals closing March the 1st. If I leave, Shirley's going to fuck those deals up. I know she will. She's done it before to other people. And I understand that from being in real estate. I'm like, oh, shit. So that was her deal. As soon as I get that. So this deal wasn't the primary motivator. She was hanging in there because she had like 3 deals closing March the 1st. And as a side note, they won't tell me who got the money from those deals. They won't tell me. Between Shirley Zalo and Lindsay's mom, they will not tell me how Lindsay's estate was settled. I do not want one penny. I don't want a nickel. I don't want anything from Lindsay's estate. I want those fucking women to tell me, where did the money go? Where's the money? Where's the money from those deals? Where's the money from Lindsay's life insurance? What happened to these things? They refuse to fucking tell me. Is that bizarre or what? And the two of them are friends.
So she did have life insurance.
That's my understanding. But they won't tell me. I
That's
mean, there's
interesting.
life insurance from the real estate council, from the local real estate board. If you're a member, you have life insurance. Where'd that fucking money go? Why won't these women tell me?
So I see where your theory's coming from. That makes a lot more sense. If she was kind of under their thumb,
Right.
that
So,
makes a lot more sense.
when Lindsay decided to agree to move in with Jason, Shirley buys a $1,375,000 waterfront at Shawnigan Lake for them to move into.
Lindsay owes her.
Spends over
Lindsay owes her, right?
$200,000 renovating and furnishing it. Spends, $85,000 on a boat and all the accoutrements that go along with it. Water
And now you're
skis.
going to leave us?
She did. She left the lake. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm out of here. No, don't go. You can't leave. So they kick out some drug dealer they have living in a condo in the Inner Harbor, Victoria. Shirley spends $70,000 renovating and furnishing the fucking condo for her and Jason. Don't leave. You can be in town close to your gym and your friends. I was up at that lake when Shirley arrived. Lindsay's friends were there. Shirley fucking scared them all away. One of them came out in hysterics, crying, saying, that fucking woman's evil, Father. I have to leave. She's nuts. She's done this to me before.
How many
I can't
kids does
stand
Shirley
it."
have?
2.
She has 2. Is she obsessive?
She is a nut job, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, based on my education and my experience in life. She
So is
is
she obsessed with Jason?
yes. She's a dominatrix. She's a bully. She is a bully.
Obsessed mother and
Obsessed to the
obsessed
nth
son.
degree. Yes. So
Okay.
now, what I was wanting to get to, my point about
Sorry.
Lindsay coming to talk to me about, I got this problem here. I work for this woman. I'm living with her son. She's a nut job. Lindsay told me that, so I'm not defaming anybody here. This is truth from my daughter. She's a nut job. She's fucking crazy, Daddy.
Quoting.
Quoting. Then, Daddy, I saw something I shouldn't have seen. That is the big key for me. That should be looked at way more than fucking talking to some drug dealer for 2
What do you
seconds
think
on
that
the
is?
phone.
Something weird, some kind of weird relationship?
I know exactly what it was. I know my daughter. I know about those things. I said to her, Linz, tell me, I brought my children up to be independent, to handle things. That used to be one of my favorite words if they came crying to me about me, 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 me. I go, so what's the problem? Handle it. That's how I wanted my kids to be. Because that's really how you have to be when you grow up. You can't go running to somebody every time you have a problem. It's like, well, handle it. I'm not going to take care of everything for you. You're grown up now. Do
Yeah,
this.
life's not easy.
Not easy. You got to make, I used to tell them, there's big girl decisions here. So, anyhow, so I say to her, Linz, what's going on? She goes, oh, Daddy, I'll tell you, but not right now. I'll take care of it. Okay, fine. In retrospect, obviously, I've had a lot of time to analyze that. Yeah, I should have gone over and fucking shook her till she told me, or given her a noogie or something,
Yeah, don't do
whatever.
that
Like,
to
tell
yourself.
me.
Yeah, don't do that to
But,
yourself.
that isn't who I am. That isn't how I raised my kids. I raised them to have respect. Respect me, I respect you. That was the deal. I wanted them to be growing up. So I did say to her, I said, Linz, you should tell somebody, because if something ever happens to you, somebody should know. And again, in the moment, I'm not thinking my daughter's going to be fucking murdered. I mean, I'm not there in my head at all in any way whatsoever. So I'm just thinking, she was very scared when she brought that up. And it wasn't anything to do with who she talked to on the phone while she was visiting me. None of that bullshit. What it was about, certainly in my opinion, and I've got a lot of time to analyze this, and knowing my daughter very well, she was in the scenario. Otherwise, she would have told me. If it was ex-boyfriend or some friend or some stupid drug dealer or whatever, she would have told me. She told me lots of stuff. I mean, there was times in our relationship when she'd look at me, she'd be just like, Daddy, fuck, I can't believe I told you that. Like, I tell you more stuff than I tell my girlfriend.
That's
This
good.
is weird, So we had that kind of relationship. So I knew after that, fuck, that's why she came to visit me. It's like she needed that comfort, that insurance to guide her out of the scenario she was in. And not only didn't she like it because, she didn't like the guy, there was other shit going on that scared the crap out of her.
I wonder what it could be.
And I don't believe it was just something simple like, oh, she saw a pile of drugs. She saw fucking piles of drugs in her life going to parties or whatever it was. It was something way more sinister, like, let's say, human trafficking or human organs, or probably even, let's say, it was drug business. It was people involved that shouldn't fucking be involved. Police, lawyers, something like that from the community that scared her. It's like, holy fuck. This isn't just your average idiot fucking drug dealer here.
And it does happen. The corruption. I mean, think about it. If you are doing drugs, or even just a powerful business person, you're trying to avoid law enforcement. It's more of an investment, to pay
Right.
corrupt police and investigators than anything.
They do. Guys from the Calgary drug bust. I've had showdowns with them more than once. Like them threatening to kill me saying, I'm going to fucking kill you. And I
Yeah,
almost
you
did
need to be
once.
careful. I mean, that happens.
I don't
We
give a
were we
shit.
we were covering a case where a father, he must have gotten really close, and whoever killed his daughter, they did kill him. And I know you're going to get this resolved by any means necessary, but just be careful. That way you can
Yeah.
get the task done. Just keep your eyes open. It does happen if you get too close.
Oh, I was told there was a hit on me. So, I've had my vehicle tampered with. This isn't new for me.
Okay.
This isn't new. So the whole Lindsay thing was that, it involved people that shouldn't be involved in some kind of criminal activity. And she was like, how the fuck do I get out of this? And I think that was her deal, was handling it by making a deal with them. I promise, I never say anything, da, 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 da. And I think the end result was these higher ups decided we can't take that risk. She's got to go.
And you're leaving my son anyway.
Yeah, that's certainly one theory. But in general terms, that's what went on. She saw something she shouldn't have seen. Those were his exact words. And that was her demise. The people involved in that didn't want to take the risk that she would keep her mouth shut. And they terminated. And she was leaving the family that was, in her words, fucking insane.
After everything we did for you. After the big
Everything.
house we bought for you, all the stuff we
Yeah.
did for you,
Yeah.
you're going to go ahead and you're going to leave us.
And you're going to fucking leave us.
You don't.
She was supposed to be, the first one.
Mrs. Zalo.
You're going to take over. You're going to be the mother of my grandchildren. All that.
Groomed. Oh, she's being groomed.
Groomed.
That makes a lot of sense now to me, Jeff.
In real estate, dynamic, blah, 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 blah. But I think also a big factor of jealousy there too. Pretty, young, dynamic, really, really, like unbelievably natural in social situations, which drove boyfriend fucking crazy. Because, obviously all the guys liked her and she was just dynamic, right? Everybody felt important and special when you were around her. She just made you feel that way. And it wasn't phony. She was just that type of person. And, you look out throughout history, all these dynamic, beautiful women that get murdered, they're all fucking same. Guys can't stand it.
And it's the basic of human instincts too.
Right.
That attraction.
You're a famous fucking figure skater that's probably going to win the gold. And some other mum decides, no. So what do? Take a fucking baseball bat to her knees. Like, people got to realize this happens out there. It's not a far-fetched thing.
And it's real.
It's real. It's real.
It's very real.
It's right here.
It's my greatest fear to be sitting where you're at. And I don't expect you to have any answers for anybody out there that's going through what you're going through. And I don't think anybody should have those answers. And I'm sorry that you do have those answers now. I really am.
I'll tell you, it's the hardest thing you can ever deal with. And I hope we get a chance here, even if it's briefly. It's just, how do you fucking deal with this as a parent? How do you fucking deal with this? That is so important. It is so important. Because otherwise, I was told by a very high up government official, the government of Canada, that over 40% of the people in my situation never make it. Over 40%. Drugs, alcohol, medication, depression, suicide, sick leave, never return to work, over 40%. I don't think I'm anything special. I'm just who I am. I function how I function. But I'll tell you, anybody in my situation, I went to see somebody right after murder who had lost I went to see the father. He wasn't around. I ended up with his daughter who lost a brother. And I was desperate. And she, very wealthy family, she handed me a beautiful silver angel. And she said, Jeff, get into counseling right now. If you can't afford it, I'll pay for it. You need to counsel. Our family went through hell. The ones that counseled struggled in the beginning, but we came out okay. The ones that thought they were too tough or smart or whatever it was, I don't need fucking counseling. I can deal with this. They fell apart as time went on, and they were a mess. Mm-hmm. Get to fucking counseling. So first thing I did was I went to counseling, and there's a big story about that because I got turned down in a couple places, which is very disappointing. But I went to counseling, and I stayed in counseling for 6 years. You know, at times I was just like, what the fuck am I doing this for? This is not, you know, whatever. I had a wonderful, wonderful counselor, a man. And not only was he a counselor, he was, you know, highly educated in psychology, and he was also trained as a pastor. So, you know, there was just so many different dynamics going on. We ended up, you know, where I was part of a homicide recovery group, as sad as that may sound. We developed some methods and theory about what people go through and how you deal with it. I spoke at 3 conferences about that. I spoke with him at the conferences. We did a team talk, and the conferences were not, you know, 6 people. There were 400 people at these conferences.
Wow.
400 desperate people. You know, the first one we spoke to was mostly caregivers. They were all counselors and, you know, people who were trying to deal with others that had suffered the loss of somebody by homicide. Most of them were on sick leave. They were stressed out. They couldn't deal with these people because they were so desperate. Second conference was mostly people in my situation, desperate, like desperate. The third conference was a mixture of police, and it turned out it was also the Parole Board of Canada, and caregivers and victims. And just the saddest thing, you know, at the end of our talk, I probably hugged people for half an hour that were lined up, desperate. Like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm going crazy. It's just such a difficult thing, and it never ends. You know, people talk about words like, oh, you have to let go and move on. Those are fucking poison words to people like us. They are poison. When people say that to me, I want to reach out and fucking strangle you.
Like, how could
dare
you?
you?
How
Like,
could you
how
let go?
fucking dare you say that to me? All people need to do, here's an instruction manual for those who are faced with somebody desperate, suffering from, you know, the loss of a loved one. Just hug them and say, I love you. That's all we want to hear. Skip the fucking cliches. Oh, there's always a reason. God knows best. You know, like, don't do that. That's fucking poison. Don't say that shit. Inside, it drives us nuts. We just want to reach out and fucking hit you when you say those stupid cliches and that bullshit. We're fucking hurting, man. Hurting.
What can we do to help? I mean, we
Hug,
are
love.
we're winding down as a group, us as a collective channel here, as a sleuth crew. We work with retired homicide, CSI professional, cold case experts, and an army of armchair sleuths. All these people that are watching right now, what can we do to help you?
I'll tell you, 100% the most important thing in the world is to write the politicians locally. Write the Mayor of Saanich, write the Premier of British Columbia, write the Attorney General of British Columbia, write the Solicitor General of British Columbia. When these people receive letters, if they get 5, they throw them in the fucking garbage. If they get 5,000, they got to pay attention. They're overwhelmed. Typically, they contact me and say, Jeff, fuck, get these people to stop. That's how we got on the Dr. Phil show. Was I reached out and said, all right, everybody, write Dr. Phil. Tell him that we need to get Lindsay's case on the show. Guess what happened? Producer called me and said, Jeff, fucking call these people off.
All right.
People don't realize the importance of that. As a result of that kind of letter writing campaign to the Premier of British Columbia, the Mayor of Saanich, the Attorney General of BC, the Solicitor General of BC, those letters get results. They get results. Politicians have to pay attention to numbers. Individuals, they could care less.
All right, we're on it. You guys heard him. We need letters. This is the most
Anywhere
important.
in the world.
Overwhelming.
overwhelming response to these politicians. When they are bombarded, they need to do something. And when you bombard them, don't be afraid to BCC the media, because then you have proof they were written. A politician can't say, oh, we didn't get any letters. Fuck you. The media was BCC'd in that email. So write letters, write emails. All these people are available, emails to them, and you won't get a response half the time. You'll get some canned response about we're overwhelmed. It doesn't matter. If they're bombarded with 10,000, whoever it is dealing with their mail calls them in and says, holy shit. We're just like every day we're getting like 300 about this murder case. Yeah, that has an effect.
All right, guys. In the description of this video, it's not there now, but we will find those addresses. That way you guys have quick access to them and we can start getting some of these letters out immediately.
That is, I can't stress how important that is. I cannot stress how important that is.
There is a petition, right, as well?
There's a petition, yes. There's also a GoFundMe because I'm being sued by this nut job, in my opinion.
The GoFundMe is in my description already.
Okay.
So if you want to give them some instructions on that, it's the description's ready for them. Super.
And of course, there's the Lindsay Buziak murder website.
LindsayBuziakMurder.wordpress.com.
Yeah, or just LindsayBuziakMurder.com.
Okay. All right. Final word, Jeff. This will be us winding down here. So I want to thank you for agreeing to come on here. We're happy to help bring awareness to this case and just do whatever we can to help you out. That's why we're here. That's what this channel is all about, giving you that platform and letting all these people out here who care about these cases and who are willing to dig into them. Let's keep them busy with Lindsay's case.
Sleuth, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And, I'm on it. February 2nd's coming faster than what I like. I'll be out there doing the walk again this year. I lost track of how many years I've done it now. I would say this is probably the 13th, 14th year I've done the public walk for Lindsay's murder. It's the toughest thing to do, but it's the best thing to do all the time. I just got to keep this in the public eye. I got to keep this under the politicians' noses. If you don't, it gets brushed aside. It's that simple. It is simple. It has to be push, 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 push. And the sad thing is, why do we have to do this in this day and age? Why do we have to take it upon us when we pay these police forces wonderful money? I don't know in the States, but up here, they're paid very, very well.
Yeah, millions go into these investigations.
Right. And they fail. But yet they're promoted and pay raise and retirement, big glorious pensions, and they're heroes. They're no fucking heroes. They failed at their duty as far as I'm concerned.
They could be. They could be heroes.
They could be, but let's get our act, together here and get this solved. And they will be heroes. I've told many of them, solve this fucking case and you'll be a hero. Like, what are you waiting for? Instead, they retire. Oh, retired. Drives me nuts.
Yeah, you had a handful of officers retire right around the time of the crime, didn't you?
7 the day before.
Yep, 7. All right. Well, Jeff, I appreciate it. We are out of time. I'll be in contact with you. I'll shoot you an email and just as a quick follow-up. And maybe we can do this again in the future. And hopefully we'll have a break in this case. And I'll let you know how many letters we get out. We're going to get right on top of that for you.
Patrick, thank you so much. Call me anytime. Contact me anytime you want me on the show. If you want a question answer period, whatever you want, I'm open. I have nothing to hide. Wide open. Tell you my truth, how I see it, how I've experienced it.
Thank you, Jeff. And our heart goes out to you again. So keep up the good fight, okay?
Thank you very much. I won't stop.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Make sure you look into the description for those addresses. Let's do our best to get some of these letters out. It can't be that hard. Maybe we'll do it twice a month moving forward. But it looks like I have to go take the puppies out. They are whining. So make sure you guys go check out lindsaybuziakmurder.com. It's an incredible website. You can see the effort. Everything that you need to know about this case is here. And if you do know anything about Lindsay Buziak's case, we do encourage you to contact the tip line. And there's also a website there at the bottom. Anything could help. Even if the smallest piece of information could break the case wide open. So if you know anything, if any loyalties have changed over the years, come forward. You can do it anonymously. So on that note, guys, we are going to get out of here. If you could please hit the like button on the way out. Go give this website a look over. It's got articles. It's got the petition, all the pieces of evidence that's been collected, theories. It has a timeline. So make sure you guys go look if you're interested in this case and see if there's anything that you can offer to help. I'm sure Jeff would appreciate that. And we're going to get out of here, guys. So if you're part of that replay crew, go ahead and leave a comment, and we'll do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. And you guys go ahead and enjoy your Tuesday. Thanks again, Jeff. Everybody, have a great day.